Trinidad Rio. Merry New Year, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is straight, die-hard, genuine, authentic Kaiso. And this is how the story goes. I went to public utilities and tell them disconnect them facilities, cause me I want them. I tried to contact the ombudsman, but never in office. Are going to file me an injunction on the public service. Cause every time a heavy rain fall, by me don't have no current at all. They spoil my TV, they spoil my fridge. They nearly kill me with low voltage. Now before they make me a lunatic, I'm going back to basic. I'm going and get a flambeau and lamp with wick. I'm going back to basic. I call my fans and I call my friends to let them know that if they have a message to send, tell Tempo. And if they come home and then you see me, tell me neighbor, or get a pen and a writing pad and write a letter. Cause PSTT does make me weep. Gone are the days when old talk was cheap. I make a phone call to Talparo and I get a phone bill to Mexico. Oh my lad, before they kill me and kill me quick, I'm going back to basic. A piece of marling and two climpan couldn't do the trick. I'm going back to basic. I went and buy me a motor car for my own comfort, because I can't take no more torture waiting on transport. But all them potholes and all them bump, me car ain't able until they invent a car to jump. Well, I go travel. I beg the Lord to please put a hand, touch the hearts of the spare parts man. I used to have a raise in the bank. Now every cent gone in me gas tank. Now I prefer roller with piece of sticker. I'm going back to basic. Or buy a 3-speed bike, go in tick. I'm going back to basic.
This is not politics. Please don't forget, I'm just practicing to be a poet. Not qualified as yet, but have no fear, I'm gonna get there. I'm not in this world to live up to your expectation. Neither are you in to live up to mine. I don't owe no one, no obligation. No one owes me none, so everything is fine. I say I am that I am, I am. I am that I am, I am. I am that I am, I am. Business. There is a And for everything there is a season. So man and man must reason. So I think it's prime time that we address some more issues. Simple information I will use. No rocket science to get you confused. So relax your mind. Make sure everything is fine while I take you down a poetic line. Trick us with campaign promises. We won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. I remember you say Liberation Day, and I ask, you sure is that you wanna say? Cause it sounded so good to believe. And deception is a powerful thing when you lose your rightful thinking. So we voted for the bling. But you trick us with campaign promises. We won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. Yellow, yellow all the way is what everybody say. Cell phone ring, man answering. Yellow, yellow, no hello. Teeth get yellow, house get yellow, bus get yellow, man get yellow, even green get yellow, and so says 11-4. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. Old school parables say you know what you have, but you don't know what you go get. So cherish what you have to diminish regret. But what on earth lasts forever? Not even things created by the great Jehovah. So the green grass ceased to grow to allow the yellow vibes to flow. But boy, one song I sing, one bell a ring. If we didn't know, we'd never know yellow would have treated us so. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. They began with the blame game, giving NNP more fame. Past administration, the cause of frustration. Past administration, chief of corruption. Then to economic recession, we can't give you attention. Economic recession, the cause of poverty in the land. Economic recession, no employment for the ordinary man. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. All your projects are stuck in a pipeline. But when asked, how is the country going? Oh, fine. We are looking into it. Never mind. Only projects in pipeline. No water to cool down the yellow temperature. When will they start? Please answer that. Oh, soon. Maybe by the next full moon. Although things are turning at a very slow pace, we now run no race. 5 years is a lot of space. It's just a few hungry people in a place and a few disgruntled green people with their vexed face. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. Busy governing, busy managing, busy politicking, busy neglecting, busy inflicting poverty and hunger throughout Grenada. 1,000 Frenchmen can never be wrong, but you hold your yellow conviction strong. So why not send them advisors home? They're sucking money like water in foam. And rehire the Imanis, less stress on the economy. You and Manchester hold up the country. You didn't see us down by the Bury when they sent SSU to beat we. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease. That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain. You now refrain. So we've heard about your internal division, but some can't digest that one. Remember the man say he's an asset to the party? And will we vote you without him? You left him with Glenn alone. Maybe they cloned. And however, I foresee a pretensive unity that will mislead a lot just before the next ballot. But you guys will have to come real good, cause it's a long time Grenada ain't eat a food. You think politicians would trick us with campaign promises? We won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain. But you now refrain, you now refrain. You remember in the Bible God had a plan for Jonah to restore Nineveh? But will restore Grenada? Is it the same Jonah? Lots of doubt, so I'm running up my mouth. And I'm counting no chicken before the hatch. Politicians sometimes form a crooked batch. After they get the vote, they now sing one note. But here comes Fort Judy and Nancy Payne, with $1 million house and brand new car on the scene, while our hungry bellies still grumbling. When you trick us with campaign promises, we won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. So yellow people say, next election not me stain that finger, cause after we say enough from Jonah, here comes still with more pressure and hunger. And from the mouth of Grenada, only one thing I utter: the Congress neglect us, the Congress fail us. And I could never understand the distribution of the wealth. So drink your bush home if you want good health. And for real, we appreciate the...
And good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Once again, it is time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott, here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. It's now 9 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. Just making sure I have all my clips in place. Yeah, making sure I have everything in place for tonight's program. Just give me about 2 minutes here, about 2 minutes again. I have something just downloading here, just making sure, you understand?
Soon.
Yeah, because we had to play and say tonight. Nice, good. We're playing and we're saying tonight. Special good night to all the listeners listening via 91.9, 91.5.
Grim people with their vexed face.
All of you on YouTube and Facebook, I'm going to do your shout outs in a short while.
That's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. Busy governing, busy managing, busy politicking, busy neglecting, busy inflicting poverty and hunger throughout Grenada. 1,000 Frenchmen can never be wrong, but you hold your yellow conviction strong. So why not send them advisors home? They're sucking money like water in foam. And rehire the Imanis, less stress on the economy. You are Manchester, whole of the country. You didn't see us down by the Bury when they sent SSU to between. Trick us with campaign promises, we won't say a tease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. So we've heard about your internal division, but some can't digest that one. Remember the man say he's an asset to the party? And will we vote you without him? You left him with Glenn alone. Maybe they cloned. And however, I foresee a pretensive unity that will mislead a lot just before the next ballot. But you guys will have to come real good, cause it's a long time Grenada ain't eat a food. You think politicians would trick us with campaign promises? We won't stay at ease, that's the way it is. We've waited in vain, hoping you'll ease the strain, but you now refrain. You remember in the Bible, God had a plan for Jonah to restore Nineveh.
So let me say a special good night, and folks, remember to like and share. So I'm on YouTube. I've liked. Let me see, reach up to 100. Like and share. All right. So let me see who is on the YouTube tonight. I'm seeing Phyllis, Carl, Kathleen, Faithlyn, Hallie, Douglas, Listra, Abraham, Gemma Warwood, Wilfred Antoine, Alban Harris, Gavin Thomas, Adrian Watts, good night to you. Sherma Jeremiah, good night to you, my dear. Dominic Leroy, Deborah Laborde, Jacinta Livingston, Jesse Sherry, Agnes Henry, Claude Abraham, Anna Lewis, Michelle Alexander, Jen, good night to you. Baby Daddy, Janice Mitchell, Bernie Ramsey, Christopher Johnson, Clive Raymond, Maria Noel, Jackie Raymond, Matthew Bowen, Beavis John, Carib Spice, Maud Martin, Henry Chaiton, Christine Otley, Marilyn Panchu, Cindy Thomas, Kevin, Yolan Pariak, Jocelyn Matheson, Vanessa Lalji. Well, I called Vanessa's name before, but a good night again to you, Vanessa. Jocelyn Matheson, Kathleen Knight, Gianna Maureen, good night to you. Ann Andrews, good life. Eliza Bernard, Jacket Man, good night to you. Oswald Belfon, Angie, Public Notice, Cynthia Paris, Dennis Sandy, Casimir Thomas, Anne-Marie Celestine, Grant Maria Noel, Sandra Pascal, good night to you. Chief Kamahon, Stephanie Samuel, Erlyn Maureen, Harrow, good night to you. And let me see, Cynthia Veronica, Kim, Lorna, Derek Isaac, Hillary, Joseph, and Murray. Good night to each and every one. All you want to see, yeah, let me stand up a little bit with it so you could see the thing proper, you understand? Yeah, let me move the mic a little away. Nice. You understand? Yeah, I like what the green. Well, Cammy have it. Check Cammy. Nice. Or you could call me, message me, or check Cammy. Cammy have them day. All right? You see, I had to stand up. I was sitting down with the camera. I had to kind of stand up for you all to see the talking points on it. You understand? Yeah, let me move it. Right, nice. You all could see the talking points on it. Abraham, good night to you, bro. How's Carriacou going? Margaret Superville. Kathy Pope, good night to you. Yeah, Kathy Albert, good night to you as well. And let me say a special good night to Belva Charles. Yes, she's a person that has helped us tremendously. Yeah. Thing is, some people doesn't allow you to say how they help, but has helped tremendously. Yeah. So let me say a special belated happy birthday to Belva Charles. Hope that you're having a wonderful night, my dear. I know the home circle will make sure you're okay and make sure everything okay with you and everything cook and curry and thing. I will play the local tune for you a local later down. I just making sure I have everything copacetic and ready to go right now. First things first though. I saw a release from the Royal Grenada Police Force and my friends who are listening who are involved in the field of medicine, I would like you all to tell me whether this is correct or wrong. First things first, we had an unfortunate incident this morning where 2 children were knocked down by a driver. Very unfortunate situation where the driver probably wasn't paying attention as he should and knocked down 2 children in St. Andrew this morning. Right? Those children were taken to the Maribo facility, but they've already been released. I find that to be sort of strange. I would think that in a situation like that, I'm no medical expert. I am not, let me repeat, I am not a doctor. I had first aid training. I did not have medical training. I had first aid training, right? But I did not have medical training. But I would think, and again, to the doctors that are listening, and I may ask this question later on because I have some doctors who listen, but they listen a little later on. Is it correct for 2 children to have been knocked down? I know the little boy, I think he's about 5. The vehicle ran over his foot. In the case of the little girl, she was dragged a bit and so on, has a lot of bruises and those kind of things. In a situation like that, do you not keep the children for at least 24 hours for observation? Do you just send them home? I would think that in a situation like that, what you would do is that you would keep those children for a bit of observation. Again, I'm saying this as a layman, not as anybody that is a medical professional in any way or any form or any format. But I would think in a situation like that, that what you would want to do is to keep them for observation. And then I'm very, very concerned about another aspect of this entire thing. And I know my friends on Facebook are upset I didn't give everybody their shout outs. But you know sometime how it go when we're kind of late because it's 8:17 already and we've got a lot to go through tonight. Yeah. So just like Shirley and Marilyn and Evelyn and everybody there, a special good night to all of you on Facebook tonight. Remember to like and share. I find I ain't seen enough likes and I ain't seen enough shares yet on Facebook and on YouTube. Like and share. Because we have to go over some of what was taking place in Parliament today. Yeah, we have to go over some of that today. All right? Yeah, our listeners are 91.9, 91.5. We have to go over some of what was taking place in Parliament today. Now, I'm kind of concerned in relation to that. I am wondering if it is a normal thing, and somebody, nurses, doctors, whoever, can tell me if it's a normal thing in a situation like that. Because if I were a parent, I would be very concerned in a situation like that, that my child has been struck by a vehicle and then they bring them in, they probably did the x-ray and so on, they say nothing is broken and so on, because we know about the dangers of things like blood clots and those kind of things. I would think you would keep that child or those children in for at least 24 hours before you release them. But that's just me. One of the medical professionals who are listening, message me, give me a call, whatever. Let me know if that is proper procedure. My other problem I have though, my other issue that I have is with some nurses this morning. And nurses, I know you all work hard. I respect you all. I respect the job that you carry out. I respect the work that you do. I respect all of that. But I have a problem when it came to what took place this morning. That there were nurses on site, from what I am picking up, when that accident took place, who didn't help. I think one said they don't want to dirty the clothes. The other one said that they off duty. Another one said that they had exams. So you had nurses that were on site that didn't offer assistance. That's from what I'm hearing. If that is so, we really had to check up on some of the people that we have serving. Yeah, maybe I've got the information wrong. So that's why I'm saying if what I have heard is correct, and there were nurses on site when an 8-year-old little girl and a 5-year-old little boy was struck by a vehicle and are there bleeding and in pain and crying, and you have medical personnel on site and they're refusing to offer any type of assistance, who's saying they don't want to dirty their uniform, who's saying they're off duty, and who's saying they have exam to go and write and different things and didn't offer any assistance. If that is so, I'm seriously concerned about some of the individuals we may have within the facility, within the faculty, or within the nursing fraternity. I'm very concerned about that. Anyway, I'm going to open the phone lines. I don't know if many of you got the opportunity to look at the Parliament sitting this morning. There were various bills that came up for discussion and so on. But before I get into those, I know that the Honorable Emlyn Pear did deal with an issue that we spoke on last night. We did speak on the issue in relation to what took place with the Mamakans Community Center. We did have a discussion on that last night. And I know that the Honorable Emlyn Pear took the opportunity. I was planning to go and call her tonight, but she took the opportunity and she spoke on that issue at Parliament today, and I want us to hear what it is she had to say in relation to that particular issue. So let's hear now from the Honorable Emlyn Pear at the Parliament sitting today.
Honorable MP for St. Andrew Southeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise because I would have listened last night to a young lady, very passionate in her appeal and her concern, a matter that is now, I believe, of public importance. And I'm rising this morning, is it still this afternoon, to make an appeal that this does not deteriorate further into something that the public has to become too involved in. And I want to appeal that this be addressed in a way that the circumstances doesn't go beyond what they are right now. Mr. Speaker, I listened to the young lady on one of our public programs, and I'm speaking here as it relates to one of the community centers in my constituency. Do I have your permission to proceed?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just observing your facial reaction. Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to give some historical context to this to understand why I believe it's a matter of public importance. Prior to 2008, the start of this community center, the construction of this community center, the election was called 2008, and the work on the community center started. So, Speaker, as a matter of fact, right after the election, there were public pronouncements from the government that they will do no work on continuing the community center. And that was it. It was that. Absolutely nothing was done between 2008 and 2013 on that facility. After 2013's election, the community center restarted and was completed. Mr. Speaker, since then, a group of people who were actively involved in the construction, in the voluntary work that took place during that period, these people formed a committee that managed the community center from then till now. Mr. Speaker, I'm appealing this morning. There's a way to do things. There's a way to do things. Now, during that period, and I can explain why some people might be very passionate about this. During the period 2008 to 2013, prior to 2008, these women operated in a nearby building that were provided to them free of cost by Mr. Elias Jones of this community, that said community. They had about 15 sewing machines that they were literally at the point where they started making an income from the items that they were making. Mr. Speaker, without any questions, without any discussions, without any dialogue, someone showed up and took all of the sewing machines, indicating that they were acting upon instructions from the government. So these sewing machines were taken away. Mr. Speaker, they were never told until today anything. Mr. Speaker, in 2013, this is when the New National Party government returned into office. I was brought to the Youth Development Center in Grandance, and I was given a tour of the area where the sewing machines were placed from 2008 to 2013. It was sad, you know, Mr. Speaker, not just what happened, but what was worse, what was really sad, was the fact that these sewing machines were now beyond repair. So I stood and I looked at them being taken away to be dumped. Mr. Speaker, these are the same people in question. They rallied and they worked hard. They raised funds. They contributed to build that community center in many cases after 2013. And note what I said. The government took a policy position that it was not going to complete the community center. Then it probably was about 20% done. As far as my memory, let me state that. So 20% is not a figure that we should act upon. Mr. Speaker, fast forwarding now to this last election, and which is why I want to say how things are done matters. The person who manages the key for the facility is Mr. Atiba Mawutu, a Rastafarian from that community. And I'm being specific, Mr. Speaker, because I remember in 2003, the very first time I heard reference to a community center for that village was at a meeting that was held in the yard of Mr. Hansel Japal. And Mr. Speaker, the name Atiba Mawutu, the person who manages the key, and I'm giving context to all of this, it stayed with me because this was the person in that meeting in 2003 who stood up and spoke on behalf of the community, making the strongest case that I ever heard for the facility. As a matter of fact, he ended his presentation that night by saying, I do not believe that we would ever have that community center because since the days of Sir Eric Matthew Gary, we've been begging and begging for it. Those were his exact words. This is not a political person. This is not, in my opinion, a partisan. I've never seen him in a partisan political activity. These are people who worked hard to ensure that what they have now is available for the community. So, Mr. Speaker, donations that were acquired, for example, of 20 computers that was still being used at the center. When I spoke to him last, Mr. Speaker, about $10,000, $15,000 was spent on acquiring drums in the past. They were all damaged. And he said they were in the middle of a process of repairing, they've just repaired as a matter of fact, but restarting the cultural program using those drums. I don't need to explain Mama Can and drums and culture. Mr. Speaker, when the last election was held, God rest her soul, Mr. Gather John, who died thereafter, she was leading an after-school program in that community center. Mr. Speaker, she was told that the program will not continue. You ask, Mr. Speaker, the parents and teachers of the students who are attending the classes there every afternoon, the progress they were making. Mr. Speaker, someone representing, I believe, the Ministry of Works probably, or the Ministry of, I'm not even sure, Community Development, approached Mr. Mawutu as it relates to handing over the keys for the community center. This was after the general elections. Mr. Speaker, according to Mr. Mawutu, the young lady agreed not to further demand the keys after she did a tour of the facility and saw the condition of the facility and learned of what was happening at the facility. In other words, her reaction was that she felt the place was well managed. It was okay to continue as they were going. Mr. Speaker, persons who want to use the facility, they go to the person who manages the key, they access the key, they use the facility, and they move on. Mr. Speaker, I was very disturbed last night. And just coincidentally, I was riding up to Grenville when I just happened to turn on the radio. I was really disturbed to hear the story of persons from the housing brigade under instructions going to the community center, breaking the door, Mr. Speaker, changing the locks with no conversation held with the persons who manage the center or the person who manages the key. Mr. Speaker, all that was said, I don't want to repeat them here as to what was happening and why it was happening. But I'm making the point because I'm not even sure, I don't believe that the minister, line minister, is probably aware of this. I don't believe, and I'm going to convince myself he's not aware. But I'm making the point because I see this deteriorating into something that we do not want to encourage. Whoever, Mr. Speaker, is acting on behalf of the government, whoever are the persons making decisions and taking actions, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, there's a way that things are done. The level of hostility, the level of verbal attacks, the confrontation, we don't want this to deteriorate further. Unfortunately, it has gone into the public domain, and I'm saying today, let us end it there by doing the right thing. Thank you.
Yes, folks. So you heard there from the Honorable Emlyn Pear in relation to that situation that we raised last night regarding the Mamakan Community Center. And before I go further on that, let me just say I've gotten some messages here from some of the listeners. One who said they were on the site this morning, and that is not true, that the nurses did go and check. That's why I said unconfirmed, I heard that, so I wanted to be sure. Yeah, because if it was true, I would be seriously concerned that you would see 2 children there and not try to assist in any way. All right, I know that they did say that they should wait for the ambulance, etc., and that sort of thing. But I would think that they would offer some sort of assistance at that point in time. All right, nice. 440-7377. That's the number you can call to get on to the inside. Maxine Belfort, good night to you. All right, folks. Yeah. So you heard Honorable Emlyn Pierre give a rundown, because I remember, I personally, right, prior to 2008, I was the public relation officer within the Ministry of Youth. Yeah? So when they had that sewing program, one of the things that I went up to Mama Can at the original location that she was speaking about, I forget the gentleman's name, at his place, where the ladies from Mama Can were doing their sewing program, there was also another group in Telescope. And after the election in 2008, the then NDC administration, the then MP, who is now the advisor within the Ministry of Youth and Sport, they closed down that program. The ladies were learning to make uniforms and all sort of things. I'm sure if I look deep enough, I can actually find the photos and possibly some video of those ladies in Mama Can and those in Telescope that were doing that particular program. Yeah? So they had that sewing program. In fact, it got to the stage that the ladies didn't necessarily need to buy school uniform. They were able to do the school uniform and even form a cooperative if necessary and do the school uniforms for other people. But what took place? The government changed. They came in, they take them, and then where you find them? Rotting under some steps at the youth center. We have a call online. Hello, good night.
Good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
Hi, good night, sir.
How are you doing?
Hey, I'm quite fine. How are you doing?
Sheldon Scott, I don't like the way they do things in Grenada. It's time that you stop doing the way you're doing it. Sheldon Scott, I listen to Mr. MP there, and he said to me that he's saying to me that that's not the way you have to do things.
No, that's
you gotta
madness,
do things
man.
in the right manner.
It's madness. And it
Yeah,
speaks of an
you
attitude.
just break up in the place, and I show the ministers and them who are in the ministry, or who was in the Parliamentary, they don't address that. Because you see all of them on the same page. If you want the committee center, you do things in protocol. There's protocol. There's decency and all that. The Bible says do things in decency and in order.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want the key from the person, or you want the key, you want to take control of the committee center, you go to the relevant authority.
But what was
And
done was not good at all.
But then this is a party. Today, I listened to Mr. Pierre, and he was talking about Bishop, what he did and stuff like that. And some people call, I was not in revolution to say, well, I had deep relation with the revolution. I was 9 years at the time when the revolution taking place. But among the things a man said today about the revolution, no, you could see that he was there. And Mr. Pierre was talking about the revolution, look what Bishop did. And people was upset because they calling Bishop too. He's saying, why you ponging Bishop? But he said, look what Bishop did. And look who Bishop was. Bishop was a murderer and stuff like that. And they started to get against Mr. Pierre. But the point, and Mr. Pierre and them was there. They was deep into the thing. So, and the man, he said, well, tell me 5 things that Bishop do good. And the man can say, but he said, tell Mr. Pierre, you only criticizing people. Mr. Pierre said, tell me what is the criticism. Tell me what I say that, and he say, if I say anything here, and you feel what I'm saying is wrong, go to Kenny Lawson. Go to that person, they go give, until Mantamas, they will give information. Shannon Scott, I noticed what's going on in this country. The NDC is ready for this country. And I'm glad you say last night, there's only one step, they're going backward, they ain't going forward at all. And it's time they will leave. The time will come, they will leave.
Between yesterday and today, they have 24 hours less in office, between yesterday and today.
Yeah, man, these fellas, watch, it's not easy, But it's not easy for people right now, Every cost of living going up. Everything going up. Your salary ain't going away, but everything going up. You understand? It's rough, it's tough. Yes, we know, okay, people will tell us, okay, the wall have that problem as well. Yeah, but if the world have that problem, The government here had to address the problem to help the people. Because you have a lot of people at home. They're not working. They can't put food on the table for the children because they're not working. They don't have a job. So what would you do as a government? What would you do? It's to help the people. If the people could get job, or to create some, look at it. You take all the jobs from the people. You take the bushing program. You score the 150 for them. You can say, well, okay, 450 don't know, give them 6. You still take out 150 out right. You 150 from them. What is these people don't care about Grenada? They don't like Grenadian. They never like poor people. When I understand what they can do with the bureaus people in the bureaus, it hurts me to see Grenadian go and take Deacon and still put him in power. But you see, we just have to learn the hard way. And that's what's going on in Grenada right now. So Scott, you have a good night.
All right. Thank you so very much for your call.
Yeah, brother.
Yes, indeed. So, folks, I want you also, because I know many of you may not have gotten the opportunity to sit and listen to the Parliament sitting this morning, right? So, what we played a while ago was the Honorable Emlyn Pear speaking about that situation as obtains, because I can tell you that I, again, went and took pictures of the original foundation that was there to build the Mama Can Community Center, the pillars that were there and so on. The election came. The NDC won. And back in 2013, what did we meet? Not a new community center, the same pillars. Yeah, it took Emlyn Pear to ensure that these people got a community center. So what happened? Because it have a set of Rastas, they have a problem with them. You have a problem with Atiba and Asha and Moyaki and the whole crew. You have a problem. And Ijamo and everybody. You have a problem with Mama Can people. Why is it a problem? Because it was one of the best managed, if not the best managed community centers on the island with active programs taking place. Yet still they found it necessary to do what they did. But we're going to come to another aspect of that soon. I want you all to hear now what was said by the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, her presentation on the adjournment. I want you to hear what she had to say about the low-income houses, and then we'll go into the responses that she got. But let's go into that.
MP for St. Andrew Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to share my concern as well as displeasure with a very topical issue at this time as it relates to the low-income housing. This is the first opportunity I've had to really speak publicly on the matter, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these houses were designed and targeted to improve the living conditions of our low-income earners. And the fact that the new arrangement is such that they have to raise their finances through lending institutions before they can get access to these homes. These are my concerns, Mr. Speaker. Because if you understand the circumstances that low-income earners face, they are basically or will basically be unable to acquire these loans from the institutions. But not only that, if, let's imagine, some acquires the finances, it puts them in a situation where for a long period of time, there will be owing until they can gain that name or title to this property. Mr. Speaker, we have heard a lot of misconceptions presented by the authorities regarding those homes. To draw reference, Mr. Speaker, I've heard that it's your equity, it belongs to you as soon as
you can come up with this money. That's not true, Mr. Speaker. We all know that whenever we go to a lending institution to secure funds, the property belongs to them until we are completed with the payments. That's facts. So why make people believe that? How are you feel? You won't feel good to have title to something immediately after purchase? This misconception, I condemn it, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, government must understand its responsibility to the people. So we have had situations where the previous homeowners of the low-income housing were not paying as expected. Some people have the opinion that they were getting these homes free. So as a result of these group not paying, the measure that we are going to put in place to ensure that all monies are collected is to not have them owe us as government, but owe the financial institution. Government is moving away its responsibility of taking care of the needs of its people and passing it on to a financial institution whose sole purpose is to make profit. This is not a responsibility or the objective of a government. We should come up with more creative ways to allow these low-income earners to make payments for the homes. It was designed for them to transform, quote unquote, their living conditions. Some argument states that it's too good for them. I've listened carefully to the new chairman of the Housing Authority, and I'm baffled by some of the statements because it clearly reflects that they are not aware of the living conditions of some people in this country. So they have an opportunity to own and pay in an affordable manner until they can own these homes, but we have transferred the responsibility of government to a financial institution. As much as government has to find finances to do its work, it should not be on the backs of poor people. It should not be on the backs of these low-income earners who now will not have access to owning these homes. Mr. Speaker, I must record my displeasure in the new way that access to these homes is put forward by this administration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, so we've heard the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters. A special good night to you, Honorable. And good night to your husband, my good partner. You know, special good night to your husband. And I know you and the little one having your little, time right now. But special good night to you all. And what she was simply doing is adding her voice from what she has been hearing from her constituents in relation to this issue. The issue of the quote-unquote what should have been low-income housing is a topical issue. Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters is a member of Parliament as voted in by the people of St. Andrew Northeast. Yeah? And therefore, she has a responsibility which she is carrying out of speaking on their behalf on issues such as this. And not only on their behalf, but on Grenadians on a whole behalf. But yet still when she's speaking on this, let me hear some kind of, Ole go vex with me, you know. Yeah, Ole go vex with me. But I had to play a piece of nonsense. Yeah, I had to play a piece of thing, yeah. Yeah, I had to play a piece of thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the two together. So you're going to hear from Mr. Andy Williams, how he responded to the presentation that you just heard from Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters. You're going to hear Andy Williams responding to her, which isn't supposed to take place anyway. Let me just tell them a little bit of parliamentary procedure. When someone is speaking on the adjournment, they speak on an issue which they did not necessarily get to speak on during the parliamentary sitting, or which they want to offer some clarity on, or an issue of national importance they believe they should raise at that point in time or announce at that point in time. Yeah? And with that in mind, it is not a debate. You don't go back and forth and so. But listen to the, how good to say the honorable, but listen to Mr. Andy Williams. And then immediately after him, listen to the Honorable Clarice Modest Cohen. So listen to both of them.
So I was just testing you out to make sure that everyone is up. Mr. Speaker, just want to talk about the point that the Honorable MP just spoke about in regards to housing. And Mr. Speaker, sometimes I think we have to stop playing politics with things. And let's be straight up and honest. And let's see what we can do to really help the Grenadian people. Because, Mr. Speaker, I'm very passionate about this. Last year, I had a chance to visit Mount Rush and Sobeys. And when I look at the living conditions, when I look at the arrangement that was made to the previous administration, I look at the buildings, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can go up and look at it. People are living in conditions where they are mold in the building, the tiles are broken, the railings are broken also, and you are living on heights. So you have cases where children could fall over if these things are not replaced. The arrangement that was there before, Mr. Speaker, was not an arrangement that would have been in the benefit of the people. To begin with, let's go back a bit. The people were given low-income houses, and they had to put in their own cupboards, their own closets, make changes and so to the building that you have to occupy to make it livable. If we are talking about low-income houses, how can it be low-income when the people, after they get the homes, have to go and hire carpenters and so to do all these things? And they still have to pay for it. It's not free. They have to pay for it. No. Let's go further. If these properties have any issues now, they have to take out of their pocket to provide maintenance for it. This is not the case now. We took our time and said, if we are giving someone something, let's give them something that is worthwhile and that is good. So when you enter the phase 2 of the project now, you are entering an apartment with cupboards, with closets, with everything. This is what you call a government who is looking out for its people and not just playing politics, Mr. Speaker. Now we're talking about equity. I don't think the member understands equity. So let me explain to her what equity is. When you purchase the apartment building, you are getting it for approximately 1/3 of its value. So immediately, you can use that value or the equity right there in the apartment to do something else. Now, if you want to talk about the poor and vulnerable, as they always speak about, and let's go into it. I'm not playing politics. We get into the meat of the stuff now. You have to try, Mr. Speaker, to find a way to elevate people from their circumstances. And when someone purchases one of the apartments now, what will happen is that they can now get equity in the properties that they can use to better their lives in other places. For example, you may have a child and the child has to study. You may want to take a student loan. You can use that apartment now for equity to take a student loan. Right? You may have a business idea, but you want it to be funded. You cannot use the equity in the building now, Mr. Speaker, to help finance that opportunity. That is the way you take people out of poverty and not boasting about them being in a poor and vulnerable state. And this is the responsibility of government. So something we have to stop playing politics with things. We have a housing assistance program, Mr. Speaker. If someone wants material, they can come to the MPs and they can make their case. We do the application and we assist them. We have this program now, Mr. Speaker, where we looked at it, we analyzed it, and we saw the flaws in it. And we don't want to put back people in the same position. Now the Minister of Social Development have to find funds to do maintenance on the same properties in phase 1. So do we continue with the same thing because we want to play politics, or do we try to address the matter? So, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying to the members on the other side, you are doing the country a disservice when you continue to play politics with people, to pretend that you are there for the poor and vulnerable and not trying to help them better their lives. And we see that our responsibility, and we are in government now, Mr. Speaker, to help our people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Pili Martinique. So I'm saying, let's stop playing the politics. Let's try to help our people. Every time you see we play these things, we are not doing the country a service. Thank you.
Thank you, MP for St. George South. Honorable MP for St. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to be very brief. Mr. Speaker, this segment of the Parliament sitting is not supposed to be a presentation and response, but I must say something. I cannot leave it like that, Mr. Speaker. I beg your indulgence. My dear friend from St. George South, he has said quite a lot. And some of it may be relevant, some of it may not be quite relevant to the whole situation. Mr. Speaker, first of all, he said when he was wrapping up that if someone wants house repair, they go to the MP. I just want to ask the question, which MP and where and how and which MP is listened to? And this is a question I have raised in this honorable house many times. How do we direct people, to have access? We as sitting MPs who are not in government, this question has never been answered. And I remember the member for St. David, and as he said, the Prime Minister said, yes, this is something that needs to be addressed, and it would be addressed, and members would recall that. So we're not playing politics here, we're playing politics. Up to now, we 1 and a half into the new regime, and the question hasn't been answered. So the member is comfortable, he's sitting comfortable, because people can go to him and ask. These members, us members on this side, we are extremely uncomfortable because we cannot respond to the basic needs of the people who are Grenadians, Caribbeans, whatever, they are Grenadians. So this is one thing. The other thing is to say that we don't want to rise up people. The amount of people who have gotten house repair, nice little wooden houses, toilet and bathroom, and they followed us in doing that because they washed it with a wash program, which is essentially the same thing, giving toilet and bathroom to needy people. So if it wasn't worthwhile, then why was it implemented? Mr. Speaker, the last thing I want to speak about is the equity. Whatever the meaning of the equity is, those of us on this side who don't know what equity means, whatever the meaning is, if you cannot face the bank because of your standard of living, your income, whatever is your situation, you can reach to the point of equity. So the people that the member is talking about and all people here are we are talking about at two different levels. Some people will be able to take care of themselves. People who can afford it, I always say, let them build their house and buy their houses. And a lot of Grenadians have built beautiful houses. But there are some that living according to what the Bible says, the poor will always be with us. So we can't talk equity here. We have to talk about how we elevate these people who do not have the wherewithal and the means. So there has to be a next program that companies, that program for the equity side of it, when you go to the bank and you have 1/3 and so on, all power to those who can do that. But we on this side, we are concerned about the people who cannot afford. This is not our only vocation in life, but it has to be a part of our vocation because our conscience would not let us do differently. These people need help, and the government of the day has to recognize it and has to deal with it. Otherwise, you cannot lift them out of poverty. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, St. Mark.
All right, folks. So you've heard, all right, you've heard the MP from South St. George attempting, I do say the word attempting, to respond to Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters and her presentation when she asked about, because remember, we're talking about the same Miss Kate Skeeter Peters that was the teacher at convent, that was teaching business, you know. In fact, maybe the member of Parliament for South St. George would like to go to the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lewis Peters, the MP for St. Andrew Northeast, to teach him how to balance a checkbook. Yeah? Maybe he needs to check Kate to teach him how to balance a checkbook. Because I am pretty sure she knows exactly what she's speaking about. And there are literally hundreds to possibly thousands of young ladies out there who can attest to the fact that when she's speaking about things such as equity, which she taught for many years at the secondary school level, that she knows what she's talking about. I'm pretty sure she could balance her checkbook. Yeah, right? So if you want to learn to balance a checkbook, he could go and check her. She might be able to help him out. All right? But remember this. When you have purchased the house, you borrowed from the bank. You borrow from them. You tell them you need 50-something thousand. Well, if it's 70-something thousand, you need that to be able to purchase the property. If the bank is giving you that, do you think the bank is going to further endanger themselves by telling you, well, okay, you want to go to university now, or you have a child that wants to go to university, we're going to give you a 20,000 on top of that? They're not going to further endanger themselves. The bank has a board of directors that they have to answer to. And also, they are looking at your income. They're looking at what your monthly expenses are. And they're trying to create a balance in relation to how much they are endangering themselves by lending to you, what your monthly income is, what your monthly expenditure is. And once they've gotten to that level, they will fall into that arrangement with you for the 5, 10, or 15 years. This 30-year thing is absolute nonsense. But 10, 15, 5 years, however long that they are going to give you to make those repayments. Yeah, at whatever level on a monthly basis. Right? But when you are indebted to the bank, in other words, go and buy a car from the bank or the credit union. Go and let them give you the money to buy a car or so, and go and sell it. You go and sell it after, and you will find out who really own it. You go and sell it. I know there are people around the NDC that could tell you about selling vehicle when it belongs to the credit union. Go and sell it. You go find out. People in Granville could tell you. Go and sell the vehicle. And you go find out who owns the equity. You go find out who owns the vehicle. You go and try and sell it after the bank give you the money to purchase the vehicle. That the bank own. That the credit union own. Until you have paid off. It ain't yours. It's theirs. Yeah? And if you don't make your payments, as happens to some of us, they will come and take it when the time comes. But you have to ensure that you're making your payments and you're doing what you have to do. So this nonsense about we hand you equity in your hand. It belongs to the bank. The property, the same way as if you buy a vehicle. You can't go and sell it. You can't. It belongs to the bank. It's the same way with the property. It belongs to the bank. And I think anybody with common sense knows that. So you're not handing equity to the person except in a case where that individual has the money, is able to go forward and purchase on their own, right? Without having to need a bank or a credit union or so on. Then that person could purchase the property at the 73,000 and they could go the next day because they've got the documents, it's theirs, they've got their property documents, everything is theirs. They can dispose of it at whatever price afterwards. They could decide that they're selling it for under 70 because they need a quick money. They could decide that they're selling it at the real price. If anyone is willing to purchase it at that price, they can sell it at that price. And there are many people who prefer to wait and see if there's another opportunity for something like that, if they have the kind of money to purchase it, than to go and pay 100 and something thousand or 200,000 for a property. They prefer to wait and see if government is doing something that they'll be able to go and pay a 70-something thousand dollars for if they have the money. But in the majority of cases, in fact, there are people, I can confirm that there are people who received their letters from the housing authority, went to the financial institutions and were turned down. Even people working with government, they were turned down by the financial institutions. So it is not that we handing you any equity. Stop. I mean, this is not politics. This is beer. Let me see. Somebody sent something here for me. What exactly equity means? The term equity refers to fairness and justice and is distinguished from equality, whereas equality means providing the same to all. Equity means recognizing that we do not start at all from the same place and must acknowledge and make adjustments to imbalance. But I understand what they're referring to when they say equity, because we have to make sure that people understand what in fact, Honorable Kate Skeeter, Louis Peters, if you get a chance, give me a call. But there are several other things in relation to the nonsense that was spoken about by the Member of Parliament from South St. George. The first thing is when he speaks about the houses in Sobeys and the state of the houses, and even when they speak about the state of the houses out there in Mount Gay, remember something, eh? Those houses were not constructed under the new National Party. Those houses were constructed begrudgingly so, because they didn't really want to build it, they wanted the money, under the National Democratic Congress based on the agreement that the new National Party had gotten into. They did not, let me repeat, did not ensure that the construction process was monitored and carried out properly, which is why you started having all the issues with the houses. When he speaks to the houses in Sobeys, I think these people like to forget things conveniently. They like to forget that the people in Sobeys were being removed from the seacoast, and therefore many of them got the apartments in what they now call Chiney Hill, because these were people, and I know many of you listening tonight up there in Chiney Hill, are people that were living along the seacoast. And when we saw what happened during Hurricane Ivan, and then you got houses, that is why you ensured that that housing project was done in that particular area. So the people who were already accustomed to the Sobeys area, they're living down there, they're from down there, were able to obtain a home in the same area. But again, the construction part took place under the National Democratic Congress of 2008 to 2013. So any faults within the building is because of poor management during that period of time of the process of the construction. So don't try to make it look like NNP come and build some old building. Just remember who was building it. Sylvester Qualles was this. Sylvester Qualles, yes, he was the Minister of Housing for a period of time. Then you had Glenn Noel as the Minister of Housing for a period of time. So that construction that you know kind of referred to as though it was faulty took place under your ambassador that you have in Cuba right now, and your other partner up in Grenville there. I'm not sure what portfolio he holds within the NDC party right now. I think he's on some board or the other. Just remember that when they speak about cupboards and so on. So who do I prefer to find a $5,000 or $6,000 that you might be able to get even from Fast Cash or one of them to go and build some cupboards in the place rather than having to find 70 something? Come on, you see, these people speaking from a bourgeois perspective, right? They're speaking from the perspective of the poor man. Who wouldn't prefer to spend a little $5,000-$6,000 and build your cupboards rather than having to go through going and find $70-something thousand to buy the apartment in the first place. We have a call online.
Senator Scott.
Hi, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Hey,
Senator Scott, I'm listening to you and I listen to the Parliament. Andy listen to himself?
I do not think so.
Andy Williams is a businessman? He cannot be a businessman because Andy needs to go to school. There's a lot of things Andy have to learn. Andy, what make it so worse? Whatever he's saying, the whole world is listening. And that's the second man in command in that organization, in that alliance. That's the man that was sent abroad to promote Grenada. It's so sad. And Andy should know better. Because Andy parents got to the house since from Gary time. And he knows. He knows exactly what he's saying there. You have to pay up for your house first before you could do anything. And if you borrow the money from an institution or a bank, that belongs to them, Sheldon.
But yeah, if I borrow from a bank to buy a car, the car don't belong to me, you know. Yes, I'm driving it. Yes, it's in my name. Everything I have to keep it. But is the bank?
Sheldon, you don't take it from a house. The same thing.
Yeah.
You have to. You can't say until you get enough equity on that building. That's why you could go and buy something else because you pay for that one. So you're using that one. You understand what I mean? So you could get some money on that one because that won't be up to go and expand yourself. And Andy should know that. You know, it's sad. You understand? Come on, man. I'm surprised of Andy, man. And tell him, Andy, take your time and speak. When you speak the way you speak, you sound like my sister will join you number 10. Don't talk like that. Take your time. You have men much more educated than you in the party, and they should tell you. You know what I mean? You slow down. Don't just talk, and then at the end,
but
you don't know where you're going.
Let me ask you, as a River Rodian, as a man that knows what it's like, would you prefer to get a place and you have to find a 5,000, 6,000 and get a brother or a cousin or somebody to come and put in some cupboards for you, or you jam until you could put in your cupboards, or you have to find a $70,000 to go and just pay for the place totally up front?
Sheldon, once the rain don't wet in you and you get the place, you take your time and you fix inside your place how you want it. Because that's what most of us did.
Yeah.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You get the building and you go in there, you understand? And you fix your thing, whatever you want. You take your time. You make your little susu or whatever. And you fix your thing. You understand? What Andy is saying there is because he's thinking that the bill house is not for the low class people, for the middle class and upward. But that's not what the house is for.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you,
for the lower class people.
My friend, let me tell you this while you're on air. There's a question that has to be asked, you know. Who brought in the cupboards, the ready-made cupboards that they started to use towards the end to rush the process to complete? Because some ready-made cupboards were brought in. I didn't see anything passing for procurement of those cupboards. So I want to know if that individual or company that brought it in happens to have any links with any senior members of the NDC.
Well, everything is a secret, you know. Sheldon, you know everything is a secret. So you bring up a good point tonight about Monkrush. Remember, the Monkrush, although the NNP was the one who got the Chinese, but because they had lost the election in 2008, who was looking at the building at the time to make sure it was done properly was the last NDC, you know.
In fact, on coming in was the NNP that had to do things like sewage and so on.
Know that. So that was Andy go to New York and running him out, and he come back to it and running him out still. You understand me? That's why he doesn't know. Was the NDC, although it was the NNP who had got the Chinese to come start building it, but the NDC is the one who has to be there to see they complete it. You understand me? So you have to know those things. Don't say nothing about mole and watching there. All in Canada here mole. All in Canada here mole.
We're in the tropics.
Yes, sir.
We're in the tropics. You expect that?
Only. What are you talking about? Anyway, kind of damp and where rain does fall and thing there, here mole. You see right now, you're trying to put Jeep Rock in Grenada. Watch when you go see in a few years. The same Jeep Rock. You're going to see. Anyway, damp, you're going to see it creating a lot of mole.
Which
So,
means
boy,
you have to
you
constantly,
better-
you have to constantly clean and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, it surprised me, man. It surprised me. And he take a back seat and you're flying that plane too fast. You're going to crash.
My goodness.
Okay then, have a good one, Sheldon.
All right, my brother. Thank you. 4407377. That is the number for you to call. And remember, folks, your loans cannot exceed 40% of your salary. Your loan payments cannot exceed 40% of whatever your salary is. All right? So even if you're working for $1,000, you can't go and take a 400 and put towards the loan. You can't, they ain't gonna give you. Yeah? Your loan payments cannot exceed 40% of your salary. All right, I think we got a caller on WhatsApp. Oops, yeah, we didn't get them through yet. Yes, we have a caller on WhatsApp. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night. What's up? What's up?
Hey, I'm quite fine, brother. You go right ahead. You're live.
Well, I've been listening to everything, and to my knowledge of all this housing project and everything, yes, it's a good, but on a big fact, it's a failure. Because really and truly, when you look at the housing projects and them in Moncrush, you look in Subies, you look in Granans, trust me, these housing projects and them, there was a blessing for a lot of people, but right now it's not a blessing, it's a curse. Because Moncrush housing, they have so many problems. I used to be up there. You have so many problems, including with the sewer. Then you have Subies. Well, you know, Subies was always having this problem, this stench. They never even did things properly. They just built a place, and they didn't even think about what they put in the sewer. You understand? They don't even have anybody to say they can rectify with this thing. But this housing project in St. David's now, where you have to go and get 55,000 for a 1-bedroom, and you have to go and get 73,000 for a 2-bedroom. I really find this thing is total talala. It makes no sense for me, because the next thing I get to find out about that day is that if anybody have to go into one of those condos, the only thing that you can have is 2 children. You can't have more than 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you can't have more than 2.
Because I know of one young lady. She has an okay job, and she has 3 children, and she was refused one of the apartments. And I can tell you this: one of the children has a disability, and she was refused. I would think somebody like that, you would try to ensure that that individual has a proper home. Yeah, because somebody that is not somebody that sit down and waiting on people for handouts. It's somebody that actually working and trying their best to build themselves and get things done.
Nah, you see how this whole thing is going at right now, Sheldon. If you really check back in China, and you know there is something called parental control. That means if these 2 people make children, you know that they only have 2 or 1. You can't go more than that. If you go more than that, it's problems.
I think back in the days was 1, but I think they've increased it now. So yeah.
Yeah, because why? They're checking on the population control. That's what they're trying to do. Same thing with us. You understand? So if anybody have to get a housing project up there,
well, we need more people.
There's only 1 or 2 children.
Under the last NDC administration, they were saying that we underpopulated. Under the NNP administration, you were saying we underpopulated. Now these people saying we overpopulated. That's what you're trying to say?
Dog going on there right now.
No, we are underpopulated. We actually need more people. We need more Grenadians.
Because I have a friend that spoke to me. She said that they give her a call and say, well, you know, your name come up and this and that. And it's when she explained to them that she has 5 children. She's a single mom, 5 children. She get turned down. And she have a okay job.
So after they buy the apartment and they in it, what if they make 2 more children? We go tell them, put them out.
That is the next problem.
So where's the sense in telling people that?
That don't make no sense. And the next thing that I have the problem with that whole situation there is that if I spend that $55,000 or $73,000 and I still have to insure the place, remember that, I still have to insure it. So that is more money that comes out of my pocket. Now, if I want to say grow a mango tree or do something, where am I growing that? If I want to do some veggies or something, where am I doing that? I cannot do that because I don't have no land. All I have is just a structure to go into.
Well, to be honest, what they have been saying is that with the Project 500, as they're calling it, those types of houses, they're going to be doing it that way. So let's wait and see what comes up from that. Yeah, because they're saying that's how they're doing it.
There's another big jump and a big leap we are to wait on there because I know for sure that ain't happening. I know for sure that ain't happening.
My brother, it's 9:19. Let me see if I get some more calls in. I think I'm gonna have to make the calls a little shorter because all lines are going off right now. Yeah.
For one thing I can say, this housing project, they have to do something better about it because you see, with this whole structure, I don't think they really think about certain people. All they're thinking about is high class people. They're not thinking about poor people. And you heard what the Prime Minister said already. This is not for poor people. This is for high class people. Okay, straight point blank.
All right, my brother.
Understand?
All right, thank you.
Take care.
All right. 4-4, you're gonna have to take some of the calls shorter because I get some complaints. Yeah, and some people trying to get through. So I'm gonna 4407377. That's the number for you to call right now and get on to the inside. I was gonna play some more, but I'm gonna hold on it for now. So let me let you all say what you have to say in relation to this issue, because I even heard Mr. Andy Williams, and I'm glad that the Honorable Clarice Modest raised the issue, because he was saying that they have the housing program, so you come to the MPs. Who MPs? Not the MPs on the NNP side. Who MPs? Because in any seat that the NNP win, there are some little ground god that feel that they're in charge and they will not allow the person who actually won the seat to have anything to do with housing or anything like that. Not seat, you have people reporting to people who did not win a seat. So in the tongue of St. George, you think that the people are going to Mr. Peter David, the Honorable Peter David. You think that he's in charge of housing in the tongue of St. George? Or do you think that it's Senator Claudette Joseph? Who you think running the office in town and the seed officers answering to and the housing officers answering to? In St. George Northwest, when you want something in relation to housing or seed or so on, do you go to Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell? Or is Senator Laco? Is he the one controlling those things? Because they say go to the MP, the Member of Parliament. Laco is not the Member of Parliament. He fasts. Claudette is not the Member of Parliament. She fasts. And the same is taking place in each of the seats that the New National Party won. It's happening in St. Mark. Somebody need building materials and so they come. They're not even taking recommendations from the MPs in the area. Let me repeat it. They're not even taking recommendations from the MP of the area. So you think Honorable Clarice Modest, they could go to her and say they want this and they want that and so on, and she could make a recommendation and get you? No. These people and them operating like if it's them that win that particular seat. And it's the same thing in St. Andrew Northeast and the same thing in St. Andrew Southeast that is taking place. You have these people that feel is look a ground god. So all the seat, people who need seat, they have to go to them, not to the person that won the seat. So don't come and talk about they could go to the MPs and receive assistance. Listen, let me use a classic example. The government of Grenada, not the October 19th Martyrs Foundation, who are having their activity at the Presbyterian Church on Thursday. I'll give you the exact time in a short while. Not them. The government of Grenada, they are having their activity at the stadium. They didn't think it's important to include the Martyrs Foundation, who for the last 30-something years have been carrying on, not 40 because 40 would take you on to the date itself, but for the last 30-something years have been carrying on the remembrance ceremony for those who died on the 4th and the 19th of October 1983. The Martyrs Foundation have been consistent. Yeah? Hurricane could pass. Yeah? COVID could pass. They made sure that even if it's a 2 or 3 of them and they have to wear a mask, or if they have to go up there, whatever the circumstance, they made sure that they had that ceremony on a yearly basis. Government just exclude them and go and do their own thing. So it's like, all they do that for the last 30-something years, that is all their business. We doing our own thing. Instead of trying to work with them or merge with them and try to get something done that was truly reflective of what the reverence of the day. Because remember, they wanted to put big jambalaya thing on the day. But I digress. Now, all the time they've been saying they're organizing buses and so. Check with your constituency representatives of buses and so. They were not talking about the NNP MPs. They were not referring to the NNP MPs when they were saying check with your constituency representatives of bus and so on. So Honorable Emlyn Pierre didn't know nothing about no bus. Honorable Kate Skeeter Lois Peters didn't know nothing about no bus. Honorable Clarice Modest did not know anything about no bus. Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell did not know anything about no bus. Honorable Peter David did not know anything about no bus. These people were organizing with the same way they operate with housing, same way they operate with seed, is the same way they operated with that. You know what they do today? Today, the 17th day of October 2023, when the activity is taking place on the 19th in 48 hours, is when they're calling the NNP MPs to ask them if they organize bus, as if they ever tell them anything, about bus. They did not tell them anything about bus. They did not tell them anything about organized bus to go down, but maybe all they realize what going on happened, so all they trying to get assistance from the NNP now. But today now, they're calling around. To try and speak now to the NNP MPs, because they hear what they said in Parliament about MPs and so on. You try calling around today to try to tell them to organize bus to go down in the stadium. NNP MPs, I wasn't organizing no bus. If I had to organize bus, I was organizing it and go in the Presbyterian Kirk. Yes, I was going up there within October 19th Martyrs Foundation. I would have go in their stuff. I wasn't organizing no bus and say I go in no stadium. Yeah? Because you want to talk about unity. You want to talk about bringing people together. But that is the kind of way that you're acting and you're behaving. Yeah? Tell me in the tongue of St. George, if Honorable Peter David is the one that does deal with material and so on. Tell us. We want to know. We have a caller online. Good night.
Good night, Sheldon.
Good night, my dear.
How are you?
I am quite fine. You're alive. Go right ahead.
This thing was going on, they're not surprising nobody, because people say it's their time now. They don't want no green people mixed up in the thing. They don't invite in no green people in the thing, All what they're doing is green is yellow, no green is politics. They're going in straight. They don't telling nobody nothing. I see them today showing something about the Prime Minister with school children advertise for school children to come down and whatever it is. But they don't really mean that. Why they want school children now? And they take out how much from them, the elderly, and they take out the home of the elderly. How they care about them now in mouth, now by words.
But
these
also,
only studying them.
My dear, from ever since, you remember you had the Maurice Bishop Patriotic
Movement
and so
They don't want no green people. They're doing nothing for themselves.
But
So
now
let the hero themselves make the hero.
But now only green people, you see, let me tell you, there was the Maurice Bishop patriotic movement. You remember they had that? That was Terence Marisho and them. They also had the Maurice Bishop Martyrs Foundation Family and Friends, October 19, 1983 organization, right?
So they invite them now?
No, up to now, the government is having their own activity, and the Martyrs Foundation, who have been doing this thing for the last 30-something years, they are having their own separate thing.
They have green blood in them, so they don't want them around. Let them alone go and celebrate the Hero Day for themselves.
It is disrespect. I believe it's disrespect. Yeah? I believe it is disrespect to the Martyrs Foundation.
Let them do what they want to do.
Okay, my
dear. The time
dear.
will finish. The time going to, the end of that time go come.
Okay, my dear.
And everybody going to mix up because all of us is Pity Martin, Carrico and Grenada. And so he was.
Mm-hmm.
So let it do the thing. Let it do the thing. God is up there and He's looking down on these wicked people and them. So you have a blessed night and continue speaking facts. Let we hear. I'll listen.
All right, my dear. Thank you. 4407377. Yes, give me a call. I do see that I missed one or two calls there, so give me a call. Right, yeah. And somebody's asking here if the MP for South St. George, if he's so interested in the poor and vulnerable, why he didn't help Kingsley? Yeah, Kingsley, that fella that used to be on stage with him. Kingsley used to be on stage with him during the campaign. All over, Kingsley used to be with him. Yeah, they're asking why he didn't help Kingsley with his sick brother who is on dialysis. I don't know. I don't know if Andy helped or he don't help. Yeah, why he didn't help Kingsley come out of... I don't know if he did. Why he didn't help Kingsley come out of poverty. Why he didn't check on the mold in the ministry. So you're telling me there's mold in the building where his ministry exists and he ain't checking on that. But he come talking about mold. But he ain't talking about mold in their building that he have workers working in. Right? We have a caller. Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night, my dear.
This don't about, he running a business, but he doesn't know anything about business. That is why he end up in this problem he had. Business had to boss. Listen, if you take a loan from the bank to do a business, unless you don't finish pay out that loan and you want another loan, you would not get it. You have to pay out that first loan and refinance. All I did business. I had a restaurant, our land, and everything we did was through the bank. So I know he's talking about equity and equity. He does not know. He only hear people using words, and he feel he could use it. He does not know the meaning of it. You understand?
As I've said, and I will repeat, if he needs a lesson in how to balance his checkbook, he could speak to the Honorable Kate Skeeter Lois Peters. I am sure that she would be most helpful in teaching him how to balance a checkbook.
Yeah, and it's no problem even though the people buy an apartment, they have an apartment, and he didn't have a or whatnot. They could even go to any of those lumber department, Hobart, Sporsel, all them other places and get and
Go ahead.
Yeah, and get some material. You understand? And do the thing time by time until they finish as they want it to do. There is no rush, no hurry. You understand? They take their time and they do. So why try to push something down their throat that they would not feel comfortable and stretching their arm to pay the bank, and at the end still does not have a name to it until they finish pay out everything. He does not know anything about business. He too f***ish. He feel he could rectify all problem. So before something turn up, he had to come and explain. He's talking about belly and guts now. So what he have now? You understand?
We have belly.
Yes.
We have belly.
Frontish.
We have guts.
You understand that everything did not do good. Everything did not do good. And they make it better now. That is how Molyneux started to clean, and he can't finish yet. Because it wasn't good. So they broke it down. And now they have to go back to the original plan. You understand? This man must learn to keep his skin quiet. Keep his skin quiet. He does not know anything. He should thank God he get a position in government. But you don't yap, but you don't know what you're talking about. You understand? Hey.
All right. Thank you so very much, caller.
Most welcome.
All right. 4407377. I do believe we've got our caller on the line. Let me just punch them in. Oops. Yeah, I was a little too slow. Yeah, call back caller 4407377 and 347-329-3101 for those of you calling from outside of Grenada. And you can call us on WhatsApp on 4407377. Yes, save the number. Just save it and then you can call us there. So feel free to. And we have a call online. Hello, good night.
Hi, good night, Sheldon.
Good night, my dear.
How are you?
Fair to fine, you know. Fair to fine.
What night is that you tell me call you back when I call back you long?
My dear, you call me back. I call you before I leave because I find it was taking long. I call you about 3 times before I leave. Yes, I call you from a mobile. I called you. I could even show you them call on them. I have it. I call you 3 times before I leave. Yeah, because I just had to leave by a certain time.
You so still have the number which I gave to you?
Yes. So I called you.
Try it.
Okay. Yes, but go right ahead, my dear.
And Sheldon, tell this government, which say they're doing things their way, tell them everything is for a time. God what is in control, not man. They go do for a while, but not forever. And tell Mr. Andy, run the race, but the race is not for the fastest, but to those who could endure forever. Have a blessed night.
All right, my love.
All right.
4407377. That's a 4407377. Yes, indeed, folks. Don't forget, check out Cami. You ain't go get the hat. That hat is a special kind of thing, you understand? Nice. But you will get the nice little top and thing. You could pass, you could check her out. We've got a call online. Hello, good night.
Hey, Brother Sheldon, good evening to you, sir.
Hey, good night, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I know time running out. Listen,
yeah,
let me just bring this thing back on the housing, right?
Yeah.
Listening to the expertise, talking about people with real brain regarding these things, So when we look at the principal parts of the loan for both houses, the two bedroom and the one, we're coming up with at least $50,000 for the one unit, right? Both units, the 2 and the 1, we're looking at minimum 5%, right, interest to be paid within the period years. All right. Now, the life insurance, right? Insurance for the building, etc. And the 1 bedroom, we're coming up with at least $78,000 as a total payment. Then for the 2 bedroom, right? The 2 apartments, we're talking about $6,000 with the interest, the 20 years payment, and so forth with the insurance and so on. Everything would come up to at least up to $105,000. Now my question is, all right, which average Grenadian, right, low income, right, or even middle income, as you have just explained, a lending institution, a financial institution would give that type of money, right? So,
but some have gone and already been turned down, eh?
Right. So right now, as we're looking at this at face value, we're looking at the MIT ministry as could be the one that is driving that, because that's implementation, and they always talk of implementation. So as they implement this, who it would benefit? We have a sitting MP who knows exactly. So we're comparing the both Mitchells now, both Mitchell administration. The Mitchell currently administration says that we must go to a lending institution, or if you have the money, purchase the unit. The other Mitchell, while was in government and the sitting MP in the parliament, knows about that. And at least the people had to be asking them for at least $40,000, as a payback on their timing. With they doesn't have to go to a lending institution to borrow that money, right? That was for the 2 units. The 1 unit, at least $25,000, right? With ease payback. Nothing like you're going to the bank, because it's a gift, really. But the infrastructure and everything, you understand? So there we could have seen that the former Mitchell administration was going to be catering for the ordinary person, right? Those that are financially sound and so on could take care of themselves. We've been preaching that all the time. The education system, the school book and all that. We were saying we're going to give it based on the need of the person. But this administration, I don't know what type of leader, what type of political act, what you call it, West type or East type, or what type of political leadership that we have. But this ain't working, because let me tell them something. That this, based on what the decision that they have taken concerning these houses, would judge them and would determine the political
don't give them no advice. Lead them. Lead them. No, listen, they're doing the right thing, man. Let it go ahead. Let it go ahead, man. Let it go ahead.
I'm telling you.
You're trying to help them, huh?
There is someone, I call them out, the MP, the sitting MP there that went over to them. She knows all about this. So why can't she at least say that what was the plan of the former administration?
My friend, since the time that individual has crossed the floor earlier this year, have you seen that individual say a single word in the People's Parliament?
Not a word.
I watch all the parliament sittings. Not a contribution on a motion, not a contribution on a bill, not on members' business, not a single word. I bet you they talk next sitting now.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is a hard road, but guess what, Grenadians? Hold tight. The Gospel of St. Matthew says, if the blind lead the blind, they both would fall in the ditch.
Anyway, my brother, we're going to give another person a chance to call it, because I'm hearing the line ringing in the background.
Cool. No problem. God bless you.
Yes, indeed, folks. Let me just see if I can grab that. Oh, boy, yeah, too slow. 440-7377. That's 440-7377. Give us a call. Yeah, 440-7377. I think I see one coming on WhatsApp. Let me see if I could connect to that one. Yes, let me see if I could connect to that one. Yes, good night. Hello.
Hey, my brother.
Yes, sir. Oh, you were on before, so 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah, I've been listening to the fella, and I've been listening to the lady, and there's something I'm picking up on. And I mean, I've been picking it up on a long time ago, but right now, anybody that's on the show right now that is listening, they would agree with me. And I'm starting to understand that
30 seconds,
the NDC administration, they are biased. The reason why I'm saying that, there was a program where you can go and get a loan to build a boat or to go out and fish.
Yeah.
And I have 2 people who was paying up by me, and one was NMP, one was NDC. Could you believe the person that have a big job and them is NDC? Could you believe they got the money and got the boat? And the person who was NMP, poor, but he's a business person, he could go out and fish and thing, Could you believe he did not get it?
Very interesting. But folks, as I said, you got a chance before. We're going to give somebody else a chance to call now. All right. Thank you for your info. Thanks. 4407377. That's 4407377. We are giving you a chance to call. You know, one of the things I've recognized, though, with this administration, and because it's so late into the program, I won't go into that one deeply today, is that they are masters of changing names. Yeah? So you could have the bathroom and toilet program. The New National Party simply said, we have a bathroom and toilet program. They come and they call it WASH. Yeah? WASH. Big brainchild, something that existed years ago. WASH program. So it's the same thing. You're doing bathroom and toilet for people that don't have. The New National Party was doing that. If you're talking about St. David. Yeah? You could ask Mando. You could ask the Honorable Oliver Joseph the amount of bathroom and toilets that were done in St. David under the bathroom and toilet program of the New National Party. And not just St. David, all over the islands, inclusive of even Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Yeah? But they just call it WASH. So it's like something different. WASH. You understand? Hi, good night.
Hey, good night, Brother Sheldon.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. You're live.
Brother Sheldon, I listened to Andy Williams, Mr. Andy Williams. And I'm trying to understand what Andy really said. Right? Sheldon, anyone will understand that if you go in a bank to get a loan to do a business, to do a business, and when you get the money, whatsoever money the bank gives you to do the business, right? You only own the business fully. Only own the business when you finish paid out the bank for what you owe them. That business you become totally in charge of that building. But once you finish pay, that the business still remain in the bank, right? And I hear the minister was talking about the care and the love and the taking up people from poverty. How well you could take up people from poverty when you make their life more miserable? Right? Making their life more miserable. And you have people that are going into the office, parliamentary office, and see if they could get material. And when they go, what they ask them, who they vote for. And once they say to them, if they tell them they vote for NNP, that alone disqualify you from getting any material to assist yourself. When you take away the housing from the poor class of people, how that could be helping the people, the poor people life? How could that enhance and lift in the standard of the poor people going to compete mathematics? This government is the government that playing the most politics with people's life, and they don't care, and what they love themselves. But she'll have a blessed night.
All right, thank you. 4407377. I'm letting you all speak tonight. Yeah, I'm letting you all do the speaking tonight. I have one or two other things, but yeah, they're masters because today, when they came with some of the bills that they came to Parliament with, it's basically like you had the Finance Act and so on. All they do is they just change in names and change one or two sections to be able to come and say, hey, we are the ones that introduced this. You know, you didn't introduce that bill. It existed because the basic components and the intention of the legislation already existed under prior legislation. But what you have done is change the name, repeal the bill, you take back what existed before, you change the name, and you put it back in. And you just change various aspects of it. Yeah, to be able to say that that is our NDC bill, that is what we have brought to Parliament. We've brought a new bill to Parliament and so. So all the programs that existed under the New National Party, you see them just changing the names and then coming back with it as though it's something new. So you hear they talking about WASH. But let me ask a question in relation to WASH. Because we remember that they said they was collecting donations in relation to WASH. We want to know if they're still collecting donations in relation to WASH. Yeah? We have a call online. Pleasant good night.
Good night.
I find that voice song familiar.
You don't know that voice, but it's all right.
Good night to you, Honorable Dr. Clarice Modest.
I just want to make a contribution to that line you were taking just now there.
You could go right ahead.
You know, and today, when my dear friend from the South spoke about bathroom and toilet to elevate the quality of life, or something like that he said. But we started the bathroom and toilet program, and there were beneficiaries through the length and breadth of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. So that is not new. And, you know, so as you say, they rename everything. So the legislation is the same thing. You change it so that you get ownership. But it's just change of words and plain things to confuse people.
Yeah.
And people who may not have the level of understanding of financial matters. So just change the word and all you come big with something new. And look at the boldness of them the other day. Commission a CT scan. As the Grenadian people, how long they get the CT scans done in the general hospital? But they commission it. So really and truly, this is a government that is bankrupt of ideas. They still have to go back to the new National Party and what we did to try to whitewash it and make it theirs. What do they know about the 2,000 houses that were negotiated with the Chinese by the Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell and the now deceased Evan Nimrod? They didn't know what the purpose was, but our government knew what the purpose was, so nobody could come and tell us what the purpose was. It was for the poor. And as somebody said earlier, it doesn't mean that nobody has to pay, but it means that people can pay based on their financial situation so that any and everybody could have access as long as there were available rooms. So they can't come and tell us, and they must tell us how many rooms remain, how many apartments remain out of the 2,000. And I know they had many plans for it. Fix the stadium, build hotels. But those rooms were negotiated, those apartments, because there was need. And even in our own private homes, you will always need to repair. You will always need to fix. So yes, if they can improve on the collection of monies from those who can afford, then do so in the existing housing projects, bring it back up to standard, and let people continue to live in a good quality of life. But buildings will deteriorate, and they need to be upgraded from time to time. And I hope that the amount of cries that are going out from the people will not continue to fall on deaf ear, but they will ensure that the poor, for which the government of every country is responsible for, will have access to some of the houses and stop playing games and stop playing cheap politics. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bodas. I'm only letting you go because I know you've had a tiring day today. Usually you know I would have hold your day.
Well, yes, you know, I had planned to speak about some things on health, but that is another day. It requires a long day.
Yes.
And so when I heard about the housing thing and the nonsense, I had to jump in there and to say my bit. But there's always a lot to
let's look at Monday.
To talk about.
Let's look at Monday or Tuesday next week that we can have a conversation regarding.
Well, you and I will have to look at that in chambers, you know.
In chambers.
Yes.
Of course.
You ain't getting that one free. Have a good night. Good night to Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Keep the faith and be strong.
Thank you very much. 4407377. That's 440. There's one particular caller that has been trying to get through for a while, but it seems as though every time I take a call on the WhatsApp or the overseas line is when that caller calls. I wonder if I might be able to find, sometimes I just do that. I just have to call. Yeah, I don't know who the person is, but I know they've been trying. So let me see if I get them. Yeah, we're trying to see if we can get them, because they have been trying, and I think it's only fair that we try and get them back. Yeah. But folks, in the interim, 4407377. Yes, hello, good night. We know you've been trying to call the program. We're going to put you through now. So hold a moment. Yeah, we know you've been trying to call. Hold on. Right. So we know this caller has been persistently trying to get through, and it's kind of unfair to them. Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yes, my dear. You're live.
I almost lost my trend of thought because I've been calling so long and I've been putting off.
Yeah, tie the end and pull it back. Well, go right ahead. Yeah, well, no, go ahead. Go ahead. We have a couple minutes left.
Yeah. Concerning the same Andy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you only mumbling him out and you can't get words clear.
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah, just listen to us on the phone line. Go ahead.
Concerning the same house problem, the apartment and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy should really give second thought. He should really give second thought because he knows that he had the opportunity to grow up in one. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So he knows the procedure. And this was built for the poor and vulnerable, those who definitely cannot go to a bank and get a loan. And I don't know what they're trying to do is to gain mileage or to see if they could harmful people and get something from that. It just don't make any sense. Everything he said is nonsense. So you have to go back and revisit what he has to say. Just as there was something else I need to say and I just lost my train of thought.
Don't worry. We'll be on tomorrow from 8. You'll get the chance.
I'll call back another time when the program is on.
No problem.
And say what I have to say.
Of course. I realized that you were trying to call, but every time you called, someone was on or so. So I didn't get a chance to take your call. But thank you very much, my dear.
Good night.
All right. Thanks. Yes, folks. Which other host does call back people that he missed a call from? Only on Talking Points. We have a call online. Good night.
Good night, guys. How are you doing?
Yeah, quite fine, bro.
Okay, listen. What in the last 15 months has a new program brought forward and been implemented? We talk about implementation. What has been implemented?
The change program name.
No,
the change program name.
Like new, anything new. Like NNP is the creator of youth, the Imanis. NNP is created the wardens, right? What you have you as a person or a group has created a program from scratch and has been implemented.
The send home program. Nah, man, the send home program. Send people home. The transfer program. Transfer people all over.
With our implementation. You implementing.
They've implemented send home.
Implementing. It is so sad. At times we use a lot of big words. I always tell my kids and people around my home, don't open mouth and let the word jump out. Okay? Be careful of what you say and how you say it and who is around you. Yeah? People could even, your intention of saying something may be good, but there are people sometimes misinterpreting and make a blunder of it. Mm-hmm. Okay? We could be wrong and subject to correction. That is not a problem. But we have to be very careful. So we don't know what is the new program. We're out yet to see it going into 2 years. Nothing has been implemented. Nothing. We cannot talk about anything. I mean, no disrespect. Okay, we still have another 3 years. You could talk. Go ahead, but create something. Show something. Be creative. That is my thing. Let's go forward and create and do something and leave that legacy behind to say such and such was done. I could fairly openly say yes, the free school book program that was there that we had to pay $25. That was good. I mean, it was good. That should have continued. Things like that help a lot of people.
Yeah.
That is a good initiative. Yeah.
Oh boy.
You could talk about that, but nothing has been done except trouble.
Well, my boy, there's several achievements. In fact, tomorrow night, we'll go over some of the achievements of the NDC. All right? But we're quickly running out of time, so thank you so very much for your call, my brother. My good brother as well. All right. Blessings, man. Yes, indeed, folks. I don't think we may be able to take any more calls, but what I would say is this. right? What I saw happening in Parliament today, and it started from the very beginning. Now, let me just give you this one quickly. I would expand on it tomorrow night. When it comes to the various committees, Parliament has committees. They have the standing orders. They have the Public Accounts Committee, a very important committee because they look over the accounts of government and what has been spent, how it's being spent, etc. Now, during the period of the New National Party, because it was a situation that you had all 15 seats, back to back, all 15 seats, there was an amendment made to the rules to allow for senators to sit on the Public Accounts Committee when it's really just supposed to be members of the House of Representatives. Of course, there were no opposition members in the House of Representatives at that time. So in order for the Public Accounts Committee to function, it was changed to allow senators to be part of it. Now you do not have that situation with only one party in the House of Representatives. So it ought to revert to only the members of the House of Representatives. This government, without consultation, continues to select senators to sit on that committee. And that is what caused, they didn't even discuss with the New National Party side officially who it is that would be sitting on the, and imagine Dr. Mitchell is the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. In other words, he's in charge. He calls the meetings, everything of the Public Accounts Committee. And they didn't even discuss with him who should the members of the Public Accounts Committee be. Yeah? It just shows the general lack of concern or care for anybody else except themselves. They only care and concerned about themselves, nobody else. Yeah? They don't even respect the votes of the thousands of people who voted to ensure that the NNP parliamentarians are there, and even those who voted for people that lost. They disrespect the votes of all these people when they operate in the manner that was clear this morning by the debacle that happened in relation to the appointment of the various committees, that no discussions had been held with the opposition side. The NNP didn't need to allow senators to be on it, They could have just decided, no, well, let's say members of the House, so we put members of the House of Representatives on it and forget. But they did that because they wanted to give the opposition an opportunity, to be able to be part of the process. But this government doesn't want the opposition to be a part of any process. Whether it's calling you 48 hours before an activity to tell you about bus after 2 weeks now that you have that activity coming and you need buses and so on. So now you decide, when you realize you're going and be a failure, when you realize you wouldn't get the numbers that you expect to get, is when you've decided to contact the NNP. Listen, NNP supporters, all of you who truly believe in the sanctity of that particular day, find yourself at 12 noon at the Presbyterian Kirk at Granitang Road. You know what Granitang Road is? That is going up to the General Hospital in Tongley, right? Right on the right-hand side, you go see the church there. Instead of going up to the fort, you're going to the Presbyterian Kirk, as they call it, right? The Martyrs Foundation will be having their activity there, right? And that ain't no political activity. It ain't no people there that yellow, green, all kind of thing. They don't care about that. All they care about is remembering in reverence the people who died on that particular day. Who want to go in the stadium? Go in the stadium. That is their thing, right? But I'm telling you all straight, the better place to go to the Presbyterian Kirk. Those of you in town, especially if you have the opportunity, walk across, ride across, whatever you can, go there. Yeah, those of you in the south, if you could come up and go. Yeah? Because the government, in my mind, is very disrespectful to the people who have been keeping the candle alight, who have been keeping the flame in relation to October 19th over the years. Disrespectful to them. Right? So that is my view in relation to that. Tomorrow night, folks, we want to discuss some other things here. We have quite a bit that I could have gone into tonight, but I didn't want to take up the entire program just playing clips and that sort of thing. Wanted you to have the opportunity to talk. So tomorrow night we'll be on again from 8 p.m., God's willing, 8 p.m. with Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I am out of here. Love each and every one of you. Yeah, we had to talk about who get transfer and all kind of things. We had to talk about things. We have a lot of things to talk about tomorrow. Karakou, Karakou people tune in tomorrow night. We had to talk some Karakou things. Abraham, tell them tune in tomorrow night. We had to talk some Karakou things, man. I wonder who is now the world's most traveling man. You understand?
Once they had a competition for the most traveled Calypsonian. Everyone was shocked to see the finalist was far on me. Sparrow went Nigeria, then he went to Spain. He went to Ethiopia, then he went back again. He went to Cincinnati, then he went to Ohio. But I was the favorite, the crowd shout out. I went to San Fernando Palace, I go on a Ripolo, then one report to Rio Claro, Fungo, Gasparillo, El Cicolo, one Diablo, Togo, and my Yara brothers. I've been everywhere. I wasn't entering the show, but something say go